To the last part of our event today, which is the Beijing Dialogue. All right, Invest in Africa Beijing Dialogue. To lead the panel discussion, I'm going to invite Ms. Ziyuan. She is a news reporter at China Global Television Network, CGTN. She's going to be our moderator today in this section. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Eric. Well, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Ziyuan, your host for this afternoon's dialogue and Invest in Africa Beijing Dialogue. And we have a QR code here for the photos if you have scanned it, but it's just removed. It's for the photos for this afternoon. So feel free to scan it and download it. You might find yourself in it. Meanwhile, since 2021, the China-Africa Business Council has taken the lead in compiling and releasing the annual report on Chinese investment in Africa, presented from the perspective of an NGO and civil business council for the first time in China. This report highlights the journey and accomplishments of Chinese enterprise in Africa. So I think we are ready, and let me introduce my guests. First of all, let's welcome Margret Naikoba, who is the head of e-cash section at Uganda Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Please. Take a seat. And next we have Gana Oyinkro Tuayeringha, who is the Nigeria Director General of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Welcome. And we have Xiong Tao, who is the Vice President of BGI Global Development. Please join us on the stage. And next we have Tang Xiaoyang, who is the International Relations Professor at Tsinghua University. And last but not least, we have Dakkouni Btissam, who is the Chief Representative of Attijariwafa Bank's Beijing Representative Office. So before we dive into this afternoon's discussion, please introduce yourself to our audience. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Margret Naikoba. I head the e-cash section in the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development in Uganda, East Africa. Here, I came from the Academy of International Business Officials, AIBO. I'm here for a seminar for 14 days. I came in like 2 days ago. The seminar is about deepening China-Africa industrial cooperation. Thank you.
And next.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Gana Oyinkro Tuayeringha, the Director of Trade in the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Nigeria. Thank you. And I also said I came for a program. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. My name is Terence Xiong. I now work at Chinese genomics company BGI as Vice President. I mainly focus on government relations and public affairs. Before that, I worked for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs for 16 years. And I also had the pleasure of serving as the Vice Mayor of China's Yiwu city. Well, Yiwu is a dynamic trading center, and we have a lot of trade with Africa. So I'm really honored to be invited by the Chamber and share our experience in Africa. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Tang Xiaoyang, and I am a professor in the Department of International Relations at Tsinghua University. And my expertise is on international development, China-Africa relationship, and also political philosophy. And I try to study the China-Africa relationship in the bigger context of globalization and modernization. So our team actually contributed to the chapter 2 in this report.
Hi everyone, my name is Btissam Dakkouni. I'm the chief representative of Attijariwafa Bank in Beijing. Attijariwafa Bank is the first and the largest bank in Morocco. We are also the 6th bank in the African continent by total asset. We are a universal bank. We cover retail, corporate and investment banking, and also insurance and financial services. And concerning China, we have a representative office, as I said, in Beijing to foster the relation between China, Africa, and we have also China desk in every country, a presence of our group to be closer to all our Chinese clients and investors. And thank you to CIBC for this great event, and we were looking at the new report. Thank you.
So my first question definitely directly to about situation in Uganda and also the opportunities, especially involving digital economy. So Uganda has great potential in digital economy. The country's young demographics composition, coupled with key initiatives like the Digital Uganda Vision and National ICT Initiative Support Program, have granted Uganda substantial growth in this sector. So could you elaborate on the opportunities that exist for development of Uganda digital economy?
Thank you, Ost. Like she has said, preparation for this was really brief. I got some of these questions, I think, last night around 11. But Uganda, right now, is in the process of implementing the National Development Program, NDP4. Now, in this program, we are supposed to begin it in financial year 2025-2026 to financial year 2029-2030. Now, in this program, under the youth, about our demography and ICT, Uganda has a roadmap, which is a national digital transformation roadmap. And this roadmap has about 5 pillars. Now, under these pillars, of course, there are things to do with innovation and infrastructure. We have digital services. There are 5. I cannot recall what I wrote down, but we have those services, and we need a roadmap to these services. This one runs from around financial 2023-24 to 27-28 financial years. Under the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, they are one spearheading this roadmap. And under these services, of course, we need to involve our teenagers, our young generation, whereby they are supposed to, the government has come up with about 4, in the idea of digital services, we have come up with about 4 innovation hubs where the young generation has been allowed to go and access free internet and be able to come up with innovations under the guidance of the ICT ministry. They are being hoped, of course, not yet fully developed with their investment and other people coming in, of course, to be fully involved, and the youth will have to. Other than that, the youth have also been involved in other innovations like in the IFMS, which we use for financial services, and the e-government procurement. All services have been developed by the youth, and they are being encouraged to come up with more innovations. The government also tries to change the mindset of our people. In my country, not everyone is able to access internet. So some people don't even find it important. So under this transformational roadmap, the Ministry of ICT is is in the process of making sure that everybody has access to internet, and we, of course, are putting up more infrastructures and then coming up with more infrastructure innovation like 5G and 6G infrastructure, which are not yet there, but in the roadmap they are there. So that's some of what we are coming up with in the government of Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you for your sharing. And my next question is for Mr. Tuayeringha. So in August 2023, Chinese President Xi Jinping proposed 3 initiatives on China-Africa Leaders Dialogue have been highly recognized and appreciated in Nigeria. So what kind of policy does the Nigerian government implement to promote industrial and trade growth, and what measures are in place for better business environment?
All right, thank you very much. Let me start by saying that Nigeria is a very friendly country, and we welcome investors. But very importantly, we want this situation when they come, they should go into the production side. We want to have as much as possible to ensure that there should be production, manufacturing in Nigeria, not really coming to take the raw materials and take them back to their countries for processing. No, you do add value in Nigeria. And as much as possible, Nigeria has a lot of policies to attract investors. Currently, we have what we call the first Nigerian investment policy, where it focuses on 3 major areas. Has to do with promoting investment, promoting trade facilitation, and also sustainable development. And we have a lot of areas where investors could look at, specifically on free trade zones, special economic zones, where there's a lot of incentives available for investors. And also, by the statutory provision, investors have an opportunity to at least sell back what they have produced, 25% of what they have, after paying the necessary fees. And by and large, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has a renewed agenda wooing investors to ensure that they are well protected, the investment would be protected and safe, and as much as possible to ensure that you get benefit of your investment. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. So, Mr. Xiong, next up. BGI Group has consistently prioritized its collaboration with Africa, providing extensive sequencing equipment and testing regions for Ebola virus in West Africa. The company has also established 10 Huayan laboratories across 6 African countries. It's noteworthy that all testing kits are made in Ethiopia. So, Mr. Xiong, as a witness and practitioner in deepening China and Africa cooperation, what plans does BGI have to further promote the collaboration in the medical field across Africa, and what challenges we're seeing so far?
Thank you, Ziyuan. As you have correctly pointed out, BGI has made our contribution in times of COVID-19. We donated tests to African nations. We built Huayan laboratories in many African countries. For example, we built 5 laboratories in different cities in Angola. And we opened our first COVID-19 test reagent factory in Ethiopia. This factory was actually opened by the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, and he was very proud, saying that with the help from China, from BGI, we can now produce COVID-19 tests on the soil of Ethiopia. I would also say a few things about research. BGI is actually one of the world's leading genomics researcher, as well as a commercial company. And Africa has always been a great place for genomic researchers. It is the birthplace of humankind. It is a treasure house of biodiversity. Before COVID-19, in 2019, we opened African continent's first high-throughput sequencing laboratory in South Africa. Earlier last year, I was in South Africa receiving Madame Sun Chunlan, who was at that time Vice Premier of Chinese government. And she actually said that the laboratory has been doing a great job, as it is one of the first laboratories in the world to identify the Omicron strain of COVID-19. And also on top of this genetic technology, we developed many tests, which is extremely efficient in preventing diseases, even cancer. In last May, we provided 20,000 HPV tests to the country of Rwanda for free. HPV infection has been proved as the major factor for cervical cancer in women. We hope that this pilot project may prove the effectiveness of screening in preventing cervical cancer, and we hope that African governments and international aid may focus more so that we can have a wider coverage of the screening and help more women in Africa. Well, enough about BGI. You asked about opportunities. And I would like to say that from our experience, there are plenty of opportunities in the health industry in Africa. We probably always think that Africa needs more basic medicine, needs more basic medical tools, but probably not cutting-edge technologies in the medical field. I have to say that this perception is very wrong, because Africa has every right to the newest technologies as you and I, and also new technologies in the medical field would prove to be far more efficient and far more economical than traditional ways. And it is our experience that African governments are putting more budget, putting more focus in this field, as well as China, other nations, and international aid. So I would encourage more companies, different players in the health industry to do business in African continent. It does not need to be charity. It is a vast market. It is good business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Xiong. We heard a lot about opportunities here. And next one is Professor Tang. I heard you're one of the primary authors of the reports that's being released today. So help us understand the topic of the complementary and driver of China-African industry based on the finding of this year's report.
Yeah, so thank you very much for the question. And in terms of the complementarity between China and Africa, I would like to say this is a dynamic complementarity. So people often perceive this comparative advantage only in a static manner. So saying, for example, Africa has natural resources, has cheap labor, and China has technology or capital. But this is just a very partial and also static way of understanding the connection between both sides. Actually, I would say the complementarity between China and Africa is comprehensive and dynamic, because we both want to develop. And in the process of development, we actually can find in different perspectives, we will have a lot of things we can collaborate. For example, now we have Uganda, we have e-cash, we have digital economy. We find in digital economy, we also have a lot of complementarity. We have a very young and we are energetic population in Africa. While in China, we just recently have this e-commerce companies, and then the Chinese e-commerce company want to further grow. They also find the Africans' way of doing business and Africa's market really expands the Chinese vision. The same is also for biotechnology and also for the EV industry. We develop with the Chinese investors are just discovering a lot of new strengths in Africa. And while the Africa also means a lot of opportunities for Chinese investors. So I think this is this teamwork and partnership. They really make the more fundamental complementarity. Actually, as long as you are interested in this common development, you can always try to find more complementarity, more this complementarity. And so I think, therefore, the drive for this teamwork development is the shared vision of development. And they are also firm belief in a win-win collaboration. And that's actually the title of my book, my recent book on co-evolutionary pragmatism. What it means is exactly this teamwork spirit for shared development and for more vision of win-win collaboration.
Thank you, Professor Tang. And Ms. Dakkouni, Morocco's open and inclusive economy has created fertile ground for international cooperation. So nearly 1,000 multinational companies has established operations in Morocco. So help us understand what investment opportunity does Morocco offer, and what are your expectations for the future economic trade relations between China and Morocco?
Thank you for the question. So maybe I will start by elaborating on why Morocco and why our country is now seen as a leading investment destination, and even for Chinese, becoming one of the favorite destinations in Africa. We have, first of all, a very friendly business environment. We have a stable political country. We are also, we have a resilient economy and a modern financial sector. We have also many incentives by our government, strategic initiative, and as it has been said before, we also have set up free special zone for investors that are looking for growth and for potential high returns. Secondly, we are quite high competitive. We have world-class infrastructure. We have young, diverse, and high-qualified labor. And we are also strategically positioned geographically. We are at the crossroad of Europe, Africa, and Middle East. When you are at Morocco, you are 15 kilometers away of Europe. And that has been positioned, Morocco, really as a hub for export for many multinationals. And we are also a market leader in terms of energy transition. And we have set up a goal of reaching 52% by 2030. So that offers a very favorable, I would say, environment for many investors. And Morocco, as you said, has many success stories of multinational that came in the automotive industry, which is our first exporter sector with the 60% integration, but also aeronautic, textile, etc. When it comes to Chinese, I would say investment and Chinese presence in Morocco and the potential, I would say that the future is really bright. We went from a very good relation with China based on common cultural friendship, etc., to a relation that is today based on investment. We attracted many big names and many big investors in Morocco recently, and we passed from few, I would say, 100 million of investment to billion of investment. Just to maybe give some names, Goshen High Tech is building a gigafactory in Morocco for $6.5 billion. Our main shareholder, Almeda, is having a joint venture with CNGR in Morocco for also a battery for electric vehicle for an investment of $2.5 billion. And we have also other names in the same area, like EV battery, but also we will attract the whole, I think, ecosystem around this EV battery. We have also very good opportunities in the textile industry to have more integrated plants in the textile, in which we already have some also successful story. Other maybe potential and opportunities can be also the renewable energy, and this is maybe the biggest and the most important opportunity. We have a very good condition in Morocco, and we have one of the cheapest price of electricity, because we have the best condition in terms of solar and in terms of wind. So here we have also a very interesting opportunity for a solar plant, for wind farm, for a hydro project also. We have more than 12 seawater desalination projects, and Chinese investors are very interested by those projects. And we were also discussing earlier the health sector. This is also a very interesting sector to look at in Morocco. And we proved already that we have the capacity to help the investor achieve their ambition, and that we can have also all the advising and all the infrastructure to host actually those investments. Thank you.
Thank you for your sharing. So from what our guests have shared, we can hear the word opportunities and great potential. And what we share between China and Africa is definitely friendship, partnership, and also Professor Tang has mentioned dynamic. So these are some of the keywords that we will be holding, and look forward to the forums on China and Africa cooperation that is scheduled to take place in September 4th and 6th. So coming to this topic, I would love to hear your insight on what's your expectation. What should we look out for this year's forum?
About this year's upcoming FOCAC summit, in Uganda, what I expect China and Uganda will continue to deepen their friendship and discuss the cooperation plans. I also expect to expand institutional opening up to Uganda and deepen cooperation on industrial and supply chain, so as to further advance China-Uganda economic cooperation and development linkages of shared benefits. At this summit, I also believe there is going to be a conference within the summit where I expect Ugandan entrepreneurs, together with their Chinese counterparts, to be held, featuring 2 discussion topics, where I believe there will be topics on industrial and supply chain cooperation and the development of emerging industries. In this discussion, I expect a successful experience of cooperation which have been successful in Uganda and China, and I expect them to share with our Ugandan entrepreneurs, who I believe will be invited to that summit or FOCAC summit. Now, lastly, maybe I also believe that China has been actively exploring new models of financial cooperation with Uganda, and is committed to providing support for sustainable economic development, and I expect China to encourage and support financial institutions from here and Uganda to innovate in financial cooperation models, enrich financial services, products, and focus on supporting cooperation and green development, digital economy, and development of small and medium enterprises, specifically on our side in Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Tuayeringha?
All right, thank you. Thank you. As a summit, we know that a lot of things usually take place. There might be some side events and rest of them which will lead to bilateral engagement, which will lead to some investment opportunities. And also, in these areas, we always focus on the areas of need. Especially, there are areas that we really want investors to come in there. We discuss around those areas, especially the agricultural sector, which we think that we're going to have some investors who will be interested in investing in those areas. And also the power sector, the renewable energy, and most especially even the oil sector, which now they are giving the license to investors who want to build modular refineries that will operate within the country. So as a summit, definitely there are a lot of opportunities, and it would lead to a lot of even the bilateral agreements and sometimes even MOU to be able to start from there. Thank you.
And Mr. Xiong?
Well, I agree with my fellow panelists that I am fully confident that this year's summit would be a great success. In the field of health, China has had a long history of working with Africa on health projects, and President Xi Jinping has proposed the initiative to build a China-Africa community of health for all. So we would keep a close eye on that, especially in the field of preventive medicine. We all agree that preventive medicine is as important, if not more important, than treatment. And earlier last year, we have seen the grand opening of the ACDC building, the African Center for Disease Control. It is built on China's aid to Africa. And we would think this is a clear signal that China and Africa are putting more importance in the field of prevention. So we would sincerely hope that at this year's summit, this year's CACF, there would be more discussion, more attention, more projects in the field of preventive medicine. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, in comparison to last summit, which took place in 2018 in Beijing, actually this 6 years has seen the global political economy changed a lot. Especially this hiking U.S. interest rates and strong dollars makes the fiscal situation in developing countries tight. And also the emerging renewable energy and the digital economy also then shift a lot of the economic structure in China and Africa. And people start to focus on quality and improvement on tech. So in this context, I'm very excited to see how this summit will highlight this aspect of focusing on quality and how their pledge on projects and investment will really follow this new guideline of concentrating on quality improvements and tech innovation.
I'm also very positive regarding this next edition of the FOCAC. We already witnessed an important new trends actually this past 6 years since the last editions. In the presence of China in Africa, with a shift, as I said before, from infrastructure, EPC contract to industrialization, bigger presence, I would say, of private companies in Africa. So I hope that these trends will continue and even will be more important. We were talking before about what we call the sunrise sector in CIBC report. And we have all these sunrise actually sectors in Morocco, for example. So I hope that we will have also more maybe incentive or decision regarding the agriculture, who is very important for the African continent, especially when it comes to agro-industry, food processing, and so on. And continue encouraging the investment in renewable energy for like green hydrogen, etc. And as we said before, the health sector is very important also for our continent. So I really think that this edition will set the tone for the relationship between China and Africa in the coming years, but we are already having a very and great trends, and we're looking for the edition and the decision that will be taken. Thank you.
Well, thank you, our guests, and I think that's it for this afternoon's dialogue. And as we know that We discussed this afternoon a lot of opportunity, friendship. We're expecting to see more collaboration happening as the forum approaches. And thank you, everyone, for joining us at this afternoon's dialogue. And before you leave, make sure to obtain a copy of the report before you proceed outside of the room and discover some of the keywords inside. And have a great weekend. Bye for now.